Okay, let's start with a wild thought. What if everything you've ever been told about finding happiness is just plain wrong? I mean, what if the very act of chasing it is the exact thing making you miserable?
So, let's dive right in. This entire explainer is based on the incredible work of Dr. Russ Harris in his international bestseller, The Happiness Trap. It's basically a guide to a totally different way of thinking called acceptance and commitment therapy, or ACT for short.
Right off the bat, the book introduces this really powerful idea, a paradox. It's like a psychological trap that, get this, millions of us are caught in, and most of the time, we don't even know it.
And it all starts with this one central question that really makes you stop and think. It asks us to chew on a pretty radical idea. What if our go-to strategies for finding happiness are actually pushing it further and further away?
And believe me, this isn't some small niche problem. The book points to some pretty staggering statistics. Think about it. 1 in 5 people, 1 in 5, will suffer from clinical depression at some point in their lives. That's huge.
And that brings us to the central mystery, right? We have the highest standard of living in all of human history. Better food, better housing, amazing medicine. So why is our mental misery actually growing? Well, the book argues the answer isn't out there, it's in here, in a set of deeply ingrained and frankly unhelpful beliefs we have about what happiness even is.
So, how does this trap actually work? Well, the book breaks it down into 4 huge cultural myths that are basically the foundation of the whole thing. And these are ideas that, let's be honest, most of us have been taught to believe are just true.
Okay, myth number 1. This is kind of the fairy tale myth, that happiness is our natural state, and we should feel it all the time. But in reality, a full, rich, meaningful life isn't about just being joyful 24/7. It's about experiencing the full range of human emotions, the good, the bad, and everything in between.
And that one leads straight into myth number 2. If you're not happy, you must be defective. Something's wrong with you. But the book totally reframes this. It says, look, your mind evolved to be a survival machine. It's literally designed to look for trouble, to keep you safe. So all that worrying and negative thinking, it's not a bug, it's a feature.
Then we have myth number 3. To have a better life, we have to get rid of all our negative feelings. But just think about that for a second. Anything you truly value in life, your relationships, your career, that passion project, it's guaranteed to bring some stress, some worry, some disappointment right along with all the good stuff.
And the last one, myth number 4, might just be the most damaging of all. It's the idea that you should be able to control what you think and feel. Just think positive. But the book makes it super clear. We have way less direct control over our inner world than we think we do. Like, way less. Okay, so if trying to control our feelings is the big problem, how exactly does that work? This is where the trap really snaps shut. It's where our attempts to feel better actually become the source of our misery.
The book has this absolutely brilliant analogy for it. Trying to push down unwanted feelings, it's like trying to hold a big old football underwater. I mean, you can do it for a little while, sure, but it takes a ton of energy. And the second you let up, whoosh, it leaps right back up, probably with even more force than before.
And this whole struggle creates these awful, vicious cycles. The book gives the example of a guy named Joseph. He's afraid of rejection. So what does he do? He avoids social situations to avoid feeling anxious. But that just makes him feel more isolated and rejected, which makes his original fear even stronger. You see? The solution, avoiding the feeling, is now the problem. And there's actually a clinical name for this whole pattern. It's called experiential avoidance. It's basically our tendency to try and run away from or get rid of unwanted private stuff, thoughts, feelings, memories. Even when doing that ends up costing us big time in the long run.
So if fighting for control is the problem, what's the alternative? Well, this is where the book introduces a radically different approach. It's all based on the principles of acceptance and commitment therapy.
And here, the goal is completely different. With ACT, the point isn't to eliminate painful feelings. The goal is to live a rich, full, and meaningful life while learning how to handle the pain that just naturally comes along for the ride. It's a huge shift.
Okay, so let's get practical for a minute. The book is packed with tools, and we're going to try one of the main ones from ACT right here, right now. It's called diffusion, and it is all about changing the relationship you have with your own thoughts.
All right, let's do a quick little exercise straight from the book. I want you to bring to mind a common negative thought you have about yourself. Something like, I am a failure. Got it? Now really let yourself buy into it for just a second. Feel it. It's kind of heavy, right? Sits in your chest?
Okay, now for the magic trick. All we're going to do is add a simple little phrase to the very beginning of that thought. We're not changing the thought itself, we're just labeling it. So instead of the thought being, I am a failure, you're now going to think, I'm having the thought that I am a failure. Just say that to yourself, quietly.
Did you feel that? That little bit of distance that just appeared? That tiny gap? That is diffusion. You're not the thought anymore. You're the one who is noticing the thought. It's a game changer.
And that's the whole point of diffusion, really. It's about seeing our thoughts for what they truly are. They're just words. They're not commands you have to follow, they're not the absolute truth, and they're definitely not actual threats.
And that really leaves us with one last powerful question to think about. Just imagine, what would you do with all the mental energy you would save if you weren't constantly fighting your own mind? What could you build? What kind of life could you start creating right now?